action.
Hi everyone, this is Bryn. When I got my new PC, I pretty much bought it right at the end of Windows 7. So when I got it, there was an offer that I could get Windows 8 when it was released for just $14.99. So when it was released, I got an email from Microsoft and a link to upgrade the installation program. And I did that and got the product key and instructions and that sort of thing. But then I started thinking about it and thought, I think I'd prefer to have the actual physical disc. So I ordered, for an extra $25, I ordered the actual installation disc. So they turned up a couple of weeks ago, and what I thought I've been mucking around with Windows 8 ever since I installed it and getting used to it. But I want to just quickly go through the installation procedure, and also I'm going to look at the top 8 ways in which Windows 8 is different than previous versions of Windows. So, okay, when you get the disc, there's two versions, a 32-bit version and a 64-bit version. I installed the 64-bit version. So what you do is pop the disc into your drive, and what it will do, then it's going to auto start and it's going to search for updates. Eventually you'll enter the product key and agree to the conditions from Microsoft. You'll then be presented with 3 choices. Now I've written some notes down to make sure that I include everything. But the 3 choices are that you can keep Windows settings, personal files and applications. The second option is to just keep your personal files, or the third option is to keep nothing. So I pretty much had everything set up already, so I decided to take the first option and keep all my Windows settings, files and applications. So once you've selected one of those, the PC thinks about it for a little while, and then finally decides what it needs to do. Like, for example, it's going to find anything that it needs to uninstall, anything that's not compatible with Windows 8, such as old drivers and things like that. Once you move on from there, it takes about 40 minutes to actually install Windows 8, and over that period of time it will restart the PC several times. But at the end of that, you get to then set up some of your personal options for Windows 8. For example, there's a pretty cool demo of the available colours that you can use for your start screen. I chose this blue colour, but there's a whole range of colours, so it doesn't have to look like this. You can also choose other stuff like wireless and express settings, and that's it. You've got Windows 8. So now let's look at the 8 main differences with Windows 8. So again, I've written them down to make sure that I don't miss any of them. The first main difference with Windows 8 is pretty much it's been built with touchscreen technology in mind. Now I don't have a touchscreen, so I can touch it, but it's not going to do anything. But for a lot of computers coming out now that actually have a touchscreen built into them, especially the new Windows tablets that are out, they're all touchscreen. But you can still use your mouse in the traditional way. But I think that without having a touchscreen, you're probably not getting the most out of Windows 8. So that's a possible future upgrade down the track for me. Okay, second thing is you can still access your traditional desktop. This is the new start screen, which is covered in all these tiles, which you can pretty much just move around and put where you like, do whatever you want there. But this is something completely new, and actually touching or clicking on one of these tiles will launch straight into that program. So it's a new interface which acts as an application launcher, and that's pretty exciting. Very hard to get used to initially, but again, after 2 weeks, I'm slowly coming to terms with the differences. So, yeah, so on the start screen, you have some of these tiles here. So this is the store tile, you have a desktop tile, the people tile, and you know, a lot of these things you can take them off, you can get rid of them if you don't want them. So for example, if I don't want this particular one on finance on there, I can right click it and then go down to the bottom here and I can unpin it from start. So I can just unpin it and get rid of that, don't have to have that there. Similarly, if I want to put something else on there, I can actually pin it to the start screen, and we'll get to that in a second. But here you have a desktop tile, so if I click on that, that takes us back to the more familiar and traditional Windows desktop, and you have all your standard traditional icons and that on the desktop, recycle bin, that sort of thing. But something that's missing from both the start screen and the desktop is a start button, which makes Windows 8 feel very different. What they've done is they've actually moved all the features in the start button to different areas of Windows, and we'll get to that again in a second. If you hover your mouse in the bottom left hand corner of the screen down here, it brings up a little box which you can then click on, which will take you back to the start screen. Or you can click on the desktop tile, take you back to the desktop. Another way you can also do it is if you use your Windows button on your keyboard, pressing that will take you backwards and forwards between the two. Okay, so the third major difference with Windows 8 is the introduction of the Charms bar. Now the Charms bar is found by touching or moving your mouse down to the bottom right hand side of the screen, which brings up this Charms bar. If you then move up, you can select one of these items. So let's have a look at we've got search, share, start, devices, and settings. So in the search charm, if you click on that, that pretty much brings up all of the apps and the settings and the files that are on your PC. Now, really cool thing that you can do if you're actually looking for something in particular, you can start typing, and it will narrow it down to put in music, and it'll narrow it down to programs, settings, or files that are to do with music. Now I can actually click over here, that's between apps. I can click on settings, there's some settings, or I can click on actual files. And if I particularly wanted to pin one of these things to my start screen, again, this is actually a music track by Kevin MacLeod from Incompetech. I could actually right click on that and then I open the file location. So that's pretty easy to do. Back to the start screen. If I go back into Charms again, look, the share, the start, and the devices charms, I'm still working them out. I haven't worked out. There's a lot of differences, and they seem to do different things at different times. So I'm not familiar enough with them to actually comment too much on those. Yet, we'll get to them later maybe. But if I go down to the settings charm, that actually brings up some things down here that you can change: languages, volume, brightness and contrast and things like that. And also you can go into the power button here. If I click on the power button, it brings up access to the sleep, shutdown and restart function. So that's where you'll find those things. Okay. The fourth reason or difference with Windows 8 is Windows 8 pretty much supports social media. Using the People app, which is this one over here, you can browse for social updates from Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, etc. So pretty much that's been built in, access to social media. Okay, difference number 5 Windows 8 has Microsoft Windows Store built into it. So it's actually here is a tile called Store. If I click on that, that will take me directly to Windows Store. It's very similar to Apple's App Store or Google Play, and you can search for both free and paid apps. So if I go into here, I can search by free, trial, paid, and there's all sorts of things in there. So that's pretty exciting. Okay, difference number 6. Windows 8 actually supports multiple monitors, and it actually manages them better than previous versions of Windows. You can actually have your desktop on one monitor. You can have a second monitor with the start screen on it. You can also have a different background on both, and that's a major change. With Windows 8, you can even manage a third monitor, so that's pretty cool. The 7th main difference between Windows 8 and previous versions is that Windows 8 supports cloud technology. There's a new app called SkyDrive, which basically allows you to sync and save data to and from your cloud storage, and that's definitely the future of computing. The 8th main difference between Windows 8 and previous versions is it just looks and feels completely different. It takes a little bit of getting used to, but considering that just about all new computers from now on, and the new Windows tablets as well, are going to have Windows 8 on them, we're going to have to embrace it eventually. I don't think it's going to be the last version of Windows, but it's definitely the shape of things to come. This is Bryn. Thanks for watching.